Let's take a look at some rock stars who have killed someone. Starting with Jim Gordon, a rock musician from the 70s and a drummer in Derek and the Dominos. He was also known for performing alongside George Harrison, Joe Cocker, John Lennon, Steely Dan, Alice Cooper, the Beach Boys, and the Monkees. He suffered from an undiagnosed schizophrenia and had to give up his music career in the 1980s. He heard voices in his head and displayed self-destructive behavior. On June 3, 1983, Gordon tragically murdered his own mother during a schizophrenic episode. He bludgeoned her to death with a hammer before fatally stabbing her to death with a butcher knife. Gordon claimed the voices in his head made him do it. Sentenced to life in a psychiatric prison, Gordon recalled, "When I remembered the crime, it's kind of like a dream. I can remember going through what happened in the space and time, and it seems kind of detached, like I was going through it on some other plane. It didn't seem real." Keith Moon, a drummer for The Who, was cleared of all drunk driving charges following the death of his chauffeur and bodyguard, 24-year-old Cornelius Boland, in 1970. Moon tried to escape in his Bentley after an angry mob of skinheads attacked him as he left a bar with his wife and friends. The mob tried to overturn the car, and in the commotion, Boland left the vehicle, leaving Moon to take the wheel. Boland either then stumbled or was forced in front of the car and was crushed under the wheels. Despite Moon pleading guilty to drunk driving, driving without a license, and driving without insurance, all three charges were dropped. The judge told Moon, "You had no choice but to act the way you did, and no moral culpability is attached to you." Those close to the rock star revealed that he suffered from nightmares following the incident for the rest of his life. In 1978, Moon died, aged 32 years old, after swallowing 32 tablets, which were used for treating alcohol withdrawal symptoms. Vince Neil, lead singer for Motley Crue. On December 8, 1984, Hanoi Rocks drummer Razzle was killed when he was a passenger in a car driven by Motley Crue lead singer Vince Neil. Razzle's real name, Nicholas Dingley, had been partying in Hollywood when he and Neil decided to drive to the liquor store. Neil, who had been drinking, lost control and collided with another vehicle on the road. Razzle was the only victim who did not survive. He was declared dead on arrival at South Bay Hospital. Neil was sentenced to 30 days behind bars, but was granted an early release for good behavior. He said, "I wrote a $2.5 million check for vehicular manslaughter when Razzle died. I should have gone to prison. I definitely deserved to go to prison, but I did 30 days in jail and got laid and drank beer because that's the power of cash." Neil returned to perform with Motley Crue, but Hanoi Rocks split shortly after the first tour, eventually reuniting in 2001. Phil Spector, record producer and musician, was known for producing chart-topping hits like "To Know Him Is to Love Him" by the Teddy Bears, "You've Lost That Loving Feeling" by the Righteous Brothers, and "My Sweet Lord" for George Harrison. Then, the morning of February 3, 2003, changed everything when the body of 40-year-old actress Lana Clarkson was found slumped in a chair with a single gunshot wound to her mouth at Spector's California mansion. According to the prosecution, following a night of heavy drinking, Clarkson tried to leave the mansion at 5 a.m., but Spector flew into a fit of rage and killed her, leaving her teeth scattered across the floor. They told the court that Lana was simply the latest in a long line of women who had suffered abuse at the hands of Philip Spector. Spector argued that Clarkson took her own life and that she had kissed the gun. In 2009, a jury found him guilty of second-degree murder, and he was sentenced to 19 years to life. Sid Vicious. On October 12, 1978, the body of 20-year-old Nancy Spungen was discovered on the bathroom floor of the Chelsea Hotel in New York. She had suffered a single stab wound to the abdomen. Her boyfriend, Sex Pistols rocker Sid Vicious, was arrested on suspicion of murder. The events were reported as follows. At 2:30 a.m., Spungen had asked Vicious's bodyguard to get her some opioid painkillers. At around 7:30 a.m., the sound of a female in distress could be heard coming from the room occupied by Vicious and Spungen. Around 10 a.m., Vicious called reception to ask for help, and Spungen's body was found slumped under the bathroom sink. Vicious confessed to the crime but later recanted his confession and claimed he had been asleep the whole time. In 1979, Vicious was released on bail, and days later, his mother found his lifeless body in bed. He had overdosed on heroin at 21 years old. The punk rocker was never tried for the murder of Nancy Spungen. There's more rockers that have killed people, but those are the 5 of the most famous. Support this channel and pick yourself up some original crime-related apparel. Look for the link in the description.